Find a new way to live in Toronto's coveted Forest Hill neighborhood. Foray by Canderel blends thoughtful, livable suite design with refined finishes and more than 50,000 square feet of amenities, including wellness spaces, work-from-home areas, fitness facilities, and places to unwind. A modern, elevated community crafted for the life you've earned. Your next home starts from $599,000. Learn more at live@foray.ca. That's live at FORET.ca.
Okay. You need a wristband. See you up there.
Beautiful, thank you. It was invitation only for what may have been the last Israeli flag raising at Toronto City Hall for Yom Ha'atzmaut. Metal detectors, bag searches, wristbands, then a brief elevator ride Wednesday morning up to the roof of Toronto's council chambers and out onto the balcony overlooking Nathan Phillips Square.
Okay, so you're just going to go through these doors and right out towards Old City Hall.
Thank you. The Toronto sign below and the Ukrainian flag that's been flying on a pole there continuously since Russia's invasion. But the square was strangely empty. No anti-Israel protesters at all this time. Not a single one. There was one person, but he was friendly, waving a large dual-sided Israeli-Canadian flag. Some of the invited guests wondered if protesters simply didn't realize Israel was marking its 78th birthday this year in April, according to the Hebrew calendar, and not on the May 14th secular anniversary of 1948.
Not even in the square, so I mentioned it to the security, to the head of security here, and she goes, "Shh, don't jinx it."
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
This ceremony, long scheduled, carried new weight because just weeks earlier, Toronto City Council voted to end the city's decades-old practice of raising foreign flags, a civic ritual rooted in multiculturalism, now strained since October 7th. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow has called the Israeli ceremony divisive. She doesn't usually attend these events at all, and she didn't come to this one either. But no one mentioned her by name. Instead, the tone was defiant, proud, resilient, and also reflective.
Okay, welcome everybody. Boker Tov, we're ready to start. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Councillor James Pasternak, and it is an honor and a pleasure to welcome you at City Hall. Congratulations, Mazel Tov to the State of Israel on Yom Ha'atzmaut, Independence Day celebrations. I'd like to welcome
a sense that a long-standing ritual had become collateral damage, caught up in a global conflict that's now playing out on Canadian streets.
We gather on an occasion of celebration, but we cannot ignore the hate and violence that engulfed our cherished city. Shots in the night, storming Jewish-owned stores, gunsmen shooting up synagogues, swarming Jewish businesses, shooting the U.S. consulate, blocking ambulance routes, assaulting police, mezuzahs ripped off our doorways, swastikas in places of worship, vandalism, mass hooligans letting off smoke bombs. Have we come all this way for this?
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Friday, April 24th, 2026. Welcome to North Star, the flagship podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, made possible thanks to the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. For more than a decade, this Israeli flag ceremony at City Hall was routine. And after the October 7th Hamas attacks, the city even flew the Israeli flag at half-staff for 2 days at some municipal buildings in solidarity. Councillor James Pasternak hosted this last event. He helped launch the Israeli flag tradition about 15 years ago after he was first elected. And while most councillors supported the flag ban, Pasternak did not and voted against ending it.
We are in this mess because of a broken judiciary, timid policing, and spineless leaders. I don't recognize the city anymore. What happened to our city of high purpose? What happened to moral clarity? What has happened to our stellar worldwide reputation as a safe place to live, work, raise a family, and retire? Yet on the other hand, we celebrate today because we are sending a message around the city and around the world that we will not be intimidated. The Jewish community helped build this city and this country, and we are not going anywhere. We are here to stay.
His speech captured the mood, part celebration, part warning. Other speakers followed, including Avi Ben-Lolo, who's CEO of the Abraham Global Peace Initiative.
You know, we commemorated Yom HaZikaron just yesterday. Sadly, my family has also lost my cousin years ago who was a commando flying over Lebanon in an accident. His sister wrote something so powerful in memorializing him. She said that this year, with all the pain, with all the suffering that Israel has endured, that the Jewish people have endured, she is looking forward to life, to celebrating his life, rather than crying and weeping, as hard as that is. And that is the story of this generation of Jews who are here, who are standing here, who are strong, who are resilient. And I've been at these flag raisings now for, 20, 25 years. Never have I seen a crowd this big, right? For all of you who have been here. This is a testament to us, to our enduring strength and survival and resilience, that we are here, we are strong, and we are not just celebrating Israel's 78th year. We are celebrating our right to be Jews. We are celebrating our historical, indigenous right to the land of Israel that goes way back to over 3,000 years. And so this is our story, this is our time, and this is why I applaud all of you and our friends here at City Hall for standing with us today and raising this flag proudly to defend Israel, stand up for freedom and democratic values. Thank you.
Thank you.
For some, the size of the crowd today said everything about 100 people. Michael Levitt of the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center.
We all hope for a day when Israel can live in peace with its neighbors. We've already seen what's possible through agreements like the Abraham Accords, and that should give us all the confidence that a better future is achievable. At the same time, we must not look away from the sustained and odious campaign taking place in our own city to demonize and delegitimize Israel, masking anti-Jewish hate under the guise of anti-Zionism. That hate has no place in Toronto or anywhere else in Canada. My message to every single one of those responsible for that campaign is that I'm a proud Canadian, a proud Ontarian, a proud Torontonian, a proud Jew, and a proud and unapologetic Zionist. And our Jewish community is strong, resilient, and unwavering. That is who we are at our core. My hope is that next year we gather under better circumstances, able to celebrate this day in the spirit and joy it deserves. Am Yisrael Chai.
And for Israel's Consul General Idit Shamir, who's nearing the end of her 5-year posting to Toronto and Western Canada, the message was about connection between Israel and Toronto, even amid rising tensions here, including loud calls for academic and economic boycotts.
But friendship is not only about standing together in difficult moments, it is also about building something together. Israel today is a hub of innovation, of technology, of ideas that shape the future, from healthcare to cybersecurity, from agriculture to clean energy. While Israeli forces fought on 7 fronts simultaneously, Israeli startups raised $15 billion. The stock exchange rose by 51%. Google paid $32 billion for an Israeli company in the middle of the war. Israeli and Toronto companies already work together. The potential to grow that partnership in this city, in this province, is real, and it is within reach. There's an enormous potential in strengthening those ties with Toronto, with Ontario, with Canada, because when we collaborate, we do more than advance our own interests. We contribute to a better future. And that ultimately is what Israel has always been about not only survival, but contribution, not only resilience, but renewal. So today, as we celebrate Yom HaAtzmaut, we do so with pride and with clarity. Pride in what has been built, clarity about the challenges that remain, and confidence in the partnership that will help us meet them.
Deputy Mayor Mike Cole took inspiration from Shamir's Israel-themed nail art.
As I was looking at Consul General's nails with the flag of Israel on her nails, she made a very profound statement the other night, which she said, when we raise the Israeli flag, it's like raising our middle finger on behalf of the 6 million Jews who died. We're raising our middle finger to those Jew haters and to those Nazi scum. Am Israel High.
Then came the anthems, O Canada, and then Hatikva. And as the flag was raised, possibly for the last time here at Toronto City Hall, regrettably, there wasn't any wind. The blue and white barely moved for the group photo.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, Israel. Am Israel High.
For Linda Steinberg, president of the National Council of Jewish Women of Canada, the moment was bittersweet.
Was that one of the reasons you wanted to come?
Yes, but we wanted to come anyways to honor this special day. But it's very, very sad as we reflect on the future that this is the last day. We're certainly very, very aware of it.
And what makes you sad?
Just because it's not being recognized in a very public way that it has been before. Although I must say we're not missing any of the protesters that we've had alongside us in previous years.
And why do you think the city felt that it should ban all flag raisings?
Well, I think it was our mayor. And I just think they don't, it's hard to say. Like I know, we know it's very important, and we know that a lot of other countries have their flag raising here, but there's also a lot of protests, and I think it's just to silence all of them.
So collateral damage, basically.
Collateral damage, absolutely.
Okay, and how, compared to like when you came 2 years ago, what did you see about the size of the crowd? They said it was a large crowd. Is this true?
Immensely. At least double, if not more, and it's very heartwarming to see that as we turn around and look at everybody standing room only.
Not everybody agreed on what the end of the flag raising meant. Rabbi Louis Sachs of Beth Shalom Synagogue debated whether to attend at all.
I've come to a few events at City Hall that celebrate different Jewish holidays, and it's been really nice to see Councillor Pasternak and others that support the Jewish community and been big supporters. I debated coming today a little bit because the mayor often stops by and does a photo op and says a few words, and the idea of being just a Jewish representative in the background that seems to lend support or favor in the way that she's just really not been there for our community at all in the last couple of years, and even worse, been really actively doing things that have damaged and hurt and endangered our community here in the city. So I debated if I wanted to come, but seeing the Israeli flag fly here in Toronto over City Hall was something that was really important and outweighed it, and if she comes, and hopefully, we believe in tshuva in our people, so hopefully one of these days she'll wake up and she'll start fighting for the people of her city.
She's having a press conference, a media availability at the exact same time ahead of the city council meeting, so I'm sure that she can't be in two places at once. Wondering what emotions you have. It's Yom HaAtzmaut. We're watching the Israeli flag as about fly up over the plaza, but they're banning all flag raising now going forward. The city made a motion. What do you think that signifies? Is that a good thing for the Jewish community or not?
To be honest, I'm not so up on the politics, so I didn't know this was happening. I knew it happened in Mississauga. I didn't realize it was happening here in the city as well. I understand the idea of not putting up other countries' flags in our cities. I don't think that a city really has much to say about the conflict in the Middle East. I think there's problems here locally. Hunger and those in food scarcity has increased. Homelessness has increased tremendously over the last few years in Toronto. We have local issues to address, and so I think there's a bit of, it lends itself to creating a divisive environment, I think, raising foreign flags, and I understand the idea of not putting any up. I think given that they've had this tradition of putting them up, suddenly deciding not to, it's a whole nother can of worms that it opens up and issues of what that means. I don't need every local leader having an opinion on things happening abroad. I need our government, our federal government to be involved. But beyond that, I'd love for the city to really focus on fixing the city and those here that need it.
Others see it differently, including Rafa Yablonsky, who runs the Canadian Shara Zedek Hospital Foundation office, who made a point to show off his white and blue Magen David flag socks.
Toronto's always been a diverse city where everyone can come from their different backgrounds and not have to hide it. It's not the melting pot of the United States. You know, you get to share your traditions and values where you come from, and obviously it's important that you also share the Western liberal values that Canada is known for. But my family moved here in '89 after I survived an Intifada attack as a baby, and you know, Toronto's given us hope, and this has been a proud moment for me for 10 years now. I've been coming to this. And it's a big, important day to share that, you know, the Jewish community's influence and impact that we've had on the shaping of City of Toronto from its original history till today. And I think it's a beautiful thing that we do this, and we should respect and honor other traditions and values that people have come here from. Even Ukrainian flag is going to be banned, and it's a shame that we're not going to have that anymore here.
Why do you think that this was decided by the folks at City Hall? What were they trying to avoid?
Oh, I think they're trying to avoid controversy, like when they raised the Palestinian flag after Carney had announced that he supports the state of Palestine as Canada's official declaration of support. And I think that opened up a whole can of worms because it's not an official country, and they raised the flag, and it caused controversy from all sides of the aisles and all different levels of government, and even for people in the city, especially after 2.5 years of those protests that the average citizen here is not a fan of. And obviously people are not so vocal, but I know a lot of non-Jewish family friends who those demonstrations, those protests scare them, and they don't feel that they should be welcome here. And I think they're trying to do what they can to minimize any of that. I don't think that's the approach, just to ban all the flags, in my opinion. And hopefully next year they'll change their mind, and I'll be back here to see the Israel flag being raised loud and proud over the city of Toronto.
Others focus less on the final ceremony and more on what happens next. Avia Tali is with the advocacy group One Global Voice and says if the city's going to ban flag raisings for foreign countries, it has to apply the rule equally.
For example, this flag of Ukraine has been here for the past 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so our listeners can't see, but it's across the square.
It's still the square.
Yeah, but it's where the Queen Street side.
Yeah, but it's still the square. It's still the public square. So if the municipality decides no more flags, are we going to see this flag going down? That's my question.
It's a really good question. I don't know the answer. How many times have you come for the ceremony, for the Israeli one?
I don't know, probably the 3rd time. You can have a reception, you don't need to have a flag raising. It's okay. I'm totally okay with that. The main point is that nobody can do it.
But you recognize that maybe you've seen in the news, other cities, I think Calgary, Mississauga, they're also banning it.
Yeah, we were supposed to, we had the okay to do a flag raising today in Mississauga. And then 2 weeks ago, the council sat and decided to cancel everything because of what we asked to do. Michael was the one that instigated it. So, that's the way to do it. But it's fair. Honestly, municipality shouldn't deal with foreign affairs. So I can understand that. I can agree with that.
Michael Tepper, president of the Canadian Anti-Semitism Education Foundation, points to the timing of the new approach around several Canadian cities. Toronto's ban doesn't take effect until December, but Mississauga's took effect immediately, canceling the planned Israeli flag raising he'd arranged just weeks earlier.
Yes, immediately after the Palestinian flag was raised at Mississauga City Hall, I applied to the Mississauga city government for permission for flag raising ceremony for Yom HaAtzmaut. The application was accepted, and we even had an extensive meeting with city officials and the Peel Regional Police about security arrangements. And within a week of that meeting, Mississauga City Council passed a surprise resolution to ban all flag raisings, including the ones for which prior approval had been granted. And my issue is not with whether there are going to be flag raisings at Mississauga or not, generally. My issue was with the timing of it. It was deliberately engineered to prevent a Yom HaAtzmaut ceremony in Mississauga. while the Palestinian flag was raised the previous fall. And I think that's unfair. I mean, as Avi has said, there needs to be one rule for everyone without discrimination.
But the city raised the Palestinian flag in November here.
Yes, they did.
You guys tried to stop it.
We tried to stop it. Well, I didn't try to stop it.
Some Jewish groups tried to stop it.
Yes.
Let me say that again. Some Jewish groups tried to stop that with an injunction, which they lost.
Yes.
Do you think that was in any way contributing to what's happened now?
I think that's a fair inference that the city government decided, in the view of that injunction application, which was unsuccessful, that the flag raisings had become divisive and they had to stop. Again, my issue is timing. This flag raising program at the City of Toronto is going to be stopping at the end of 2026, which will allow the Palestinian side to have their flag raising one more time, which I think is unfair, that they end up with two cracks at the can rather than one.
After the 50-minute ceremony, there was a reception inside with Israeli flag cookies, fruit platters, and a petition to take home from Pasternak's office calling for an end to weekly protests at Bathurst and Shepherd in his ward. We asked the city whether the new ban includes the Ukrainian flag, which has been flying continuously in solidarity, and the Palestinian flag ceremony, which might happen in November. Officials didn't give a clear yes or no. They just sent a link to the city's schedule of upcoming flag raisings, and we've posted that in our show notes, which apparently gets updated regularly. As I left City Hall, the wind finally came up. The Israeli flag was now fully extended in the sunshine. For years, these ceremonies weren't news until Israel became too controversial. And yet, despite all the past acrimony, over the past 2 years, on this day, I was the only reporter there. The ceremony, just like the tradition, ended quietly. In the square below, just a couple of student tour groups checking out the Toronto sign and the usual food truck vendors parked along Queen Street. For the CJN's North Star, I'm Ellen Besner in Toronto. And that's what Jewish Canada sounded like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granofsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. Our show is produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman, with the executive producer Michael Freeman and Alicia Richler as editorial director. Next week, our political panel, the CJN's political panel, reconvenes to evaluate 1 year with Prime Minister Mark Carney's government, now a majority, and what that means for Jewish Canadians. And we'll do a feature interview with retired Toronto Police Inspector Hank Idzinga on his new memoir and the anti-Semitism he found in the country's largest police force. Thanks for listening.